di Johor dan di Malaysia. Also, for today, we are fortunate to have two very prominent professionals, Dr. Rahizam and Mr. Nurizam Khalid. Without further ado, let us welcome today's first speaker, Dr. Rahizam from UiTM Shahram. A little info about Dr. Rahizam. Dr. Rahizam is currently lecturing in UiTM, majoring in sports science. He is involved in not only academic teaching, and also in fitness, sport coaching, along with supervising students' projects. Dr. Rahizam is also our former Honorary Secretary of National Tennis Association since 2015 to 2019. Once again, welcome Dr. Rahizam. Now, I will pass my mic to Paywan for introduce our second speaker today.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Paywan, and I'm glad to be your moderator in this section. Now, I'd like to introduce our honorable speaker. Warm welcome to Mr. Nurizam Khalid. A bit of detail about our special speaker, Mr. Nurizam. Mr. Nurizam is Honorary Secretary of Johor Tennis Association. He is also an Exco Lawn Tennis Association of Malaysia. He is heavily involved in tennis development programs in state and national level. Furthermore, he is also heavily involved in junior tournament, national junior tournament, and national circuit. Now, let's give our warm welcome to Dr. Rahizam and Mr. Nurizam by sending emoji.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Dr. Rahizam and Mr. Nurizam, could you please introduce a little bit more about yourself? We go to Dr. Rahizam first.
Good evening, everyone. Also, Assalamualaikum to the Muslim. As you know, my name is Muhammad Rahizam Ibrahim. Currently, I am in Shahram, Selangor, attached to UiTM, the Faculty of Sports Science and Recreation. I've been involved with tennis, I think, for the past probably 40 years plus. Started as the young juniors. I started playing tennis at the age of probably 10, 11, 9 or 10. I've gone through the process of being the young juniors, upcoming junior players, and then I represented Malaysia at the age of 17. Then I further study in the US under the scholarship of Petronas. Came back, I joined Petronas for about 8 years, but only worked for 4 years because I made a comeback and played tennis again and represented Malaysia in the Davis Cup. And at the same time, I think I became one of the youngest team manager for the national team in the SEA Games 1993 in Singapore. And then after that, a couple of times as the team captain in the Davis Cup. Then I was the secretary in 2015 until 2019. And now I'm back to teaching and lecturing in UiTM. And I'm still with the Selangor Tennis Association. And currently try to promote tennis as much as possible and to share with others and what tennis can do for you.
Thank you, Dr. Rahizam. Mr. Nurizam, could you tell us more about yourself?
Okay, good evening and Assalamualaikum to everyone. Okay, thanks for having me here. Okay, my experience is not comparable to that of Dr. Rahizam lah. I do not have any playing career behind me. Basically, my experience in tennis is limited to working with the association as a tennis activist and also a tennis parents. Okay, so more or less I've been involved with Johor Tennis Association for 8 years. So my experience is mostly involved in recreational tennis and co-founder of Kembara Tennis Club in Johor Bahru and also one of the person who are involved in reviving the Johor Tennis Association about 8 years ago. Professionally, I'm working as an engineer in IT, and I'm doing all this association work voluntarily. That means no pay. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Nurizam. Now, we would like to start our forum. During this section, please mute your mic, but do feel free to ask any question in chat box.
Wow, thank you for sharing, Dr. Rahizam and Mr. Nurizam. So I will start with the first question of the day today. I would like to ask Mr. Nurizam first. So, Mr. Nurizam, can you share more about your experience as a tennis player? Like, how did you start involving in this tennis first? And also, what makes Mr. Nurizam interested in tennis so much and eventually manage a tennis association in Johor?
Okay, thank you. I will tell a brief history of my involvement in tennis. Basically, before tennis, like everyone else, I'm involved in futsal and badminton. But once my football buddy and badminton friends are gone because they got married or starting a family many years ago, so I chose to switch to tennis because of the flexibility that it offers. For example, for tennis, you don't have to wait for so many people. If you got two person or you got a friend, then you can start playing tennis right away. And tennis is a lifetime sport. That means you can play tennis regardless of your age. In that perspective, that interests me. So I really started involved with tennis once I sent my kids to for tennis lessons about maybe 9 years ago. So starting from there, I saw that there are many works that I can contribute voluntarily. So I choose to help little bit by bit. So eventually it ended up that I'm involved with the state association and the national body. That is my brief history. Thank you.
Oh, I see, Doctor. Thank you for sharing. How about Dr. Rahizam? Can you share with us your experience as well? How do you become a coach now and first interest in our tennis?
Okay, thank you. Like I mentioned just now, I started playing tennis at the age of about 10 years. But basically, I think probably same like Nurizam when he brought his kids. So that's what happened to me. My father brought me to tennis court. So I got exposed to tennis because of my father. And he also my coach at that time. And he started the program, first program in Kedah, the junior program for about 50 kids at that time. That was probably in the early end of 70s, yeah, late 70s. So how I started play tennis in a small town of Jitra. I think Ali Reza also come from Jitra, small world. So I continue to play tennis competitively, but those days it's not like now. There are not many tournaments, but still we have tournaments like MSS, the school competition. Then of course the national competition at that time is only once a year, towards end of the year. We do travel by vans or bus all the way to Kuala Lumpur to play tournaments. And until I finish my SPM, then because of tennis, I must mention this, that because of tennis, I was offered a scholarship by Petronas to further study in the States. I was there for 4 years and I played for the university for a few semesters, and I came back and worked for Petronas. And then, yeah, and I mean, tennis has given me a lot to cherish, and I think I owe so much to tennis, and it's time probably to give back what tennis has offered me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Okay, so now for the second question, we based on the topic now. So is there any significant changes before and during the COVID-19 in tennis? How do you think, Dr. Rahizam?
Yes, definitely. Thing has changed. Previously, you can see that quite a number of tournaments happens in Malaysia, and I think Johor also is one of the most active state in the country, and they're organizing tournaments at different level from the juniors up to the adults. Okay? Then suddenly we are not able to organize tournaments, and most of the players are affected due to this situation. You know, I think most of the kids, especially those at the age of probably 14 to 16, are very much affected because this is the critical age of development in tennis. You know, whether they are moving forward to the next level of playing competitive tennis, but not having competition for the past of 1 year, and yeah, I think more than 1 year now, is quite difficult. But we do need probably the association to take up the role to help the tennis fraternities in the whole country, you know, to provide some sort like a guideline for all the tennis players to continue to be involved during this tough time. You know, I'm sure the nature of tennis is a bit different in the sense of we're not playing in the big crowd. In fact, we have the court is so big, and players will be playing against each other with such a distance. So it should not be any issues. Of course, definitely we need some guidelines. You know? And again, yes, it has affected quite bad, but I'm sure we can go through this situation, provided we can work together, especially the association, to come in and help to give awareness, or at least to inform the authority on how we can resolve this problem. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Thank you, Dr. Rahizam. So, do you have any obstacle faced during COVID-19 for tennis? How do you overcome the obstacle? Mr. Nurizam, this question's for. Mr. Nurizam, can you hear me? Sorry, Mr. Nurizam, you didn't open your mic.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, I can. So, for the situation now, do you feel like have any obstacle facing during the COVID-19 for tennis? And how do you overcome the obstacle?
Okay, thanks for the question. Okay, if we are looking at the question, I would like to break down the challenges to 3 areas. Number 1 is if you play tennis recreationally. Second, for the coaches who are conducting tennis lessons, and the students also who are involved in tennis lessons. And the third one is holding competitive tennis event or activities. So these are basically three areas where we can break down the question into. Okay. So if you might already aware, in during lockdown or during PKP, all tennis activities are more or less not allowed. So tennis activities are only allowed, for example, in PKPB for recreational tennis, and for tennis lessons are also allowed with strict SOPs. As for holding competitive tennis event, for example, tennis tournaments, only allowed with KBS approval. And in fact, KBS requests that all national tennis tournaments must be conducted within a sports bubble manner. So I think if you follow strictly KBS guideline, more or less it's like not possible to conduct any national level tournaments. That's what I understand. But for state level competitive tennis event, for example, tennis tournaments, we need also to get approval from KBS, which is actually very challenging because the SOP are a lot, and also some of the requirement are just too much for the State Tennis Association to follow. So from time to time, we have to back to the State Sport Council for a leeway so that we can more or less skip those less important SOPs so that we can proceed with whatever we are planning to. For overcoming these challenges, I think we are still far behind in terms of the COVID situation now. So I think there are still many things that we need to do to overcome these hurdles. That's all I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Nurizam.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Nurizam. So everybody has heard what Dr. Rahizam and Mr. Nurizam share. We must stay at home because we want a proper tennis tournament in Malaysia. Stay home, everybody. So continue to my next questions. I would like to ask Dr. Rahizam first. So Dr. Rahizam, do you have any future plan for the development in tennis, especially in Selangor or in Malaysia?
Yes, I cannot speak for Malaysia because that should come from the governing body to talk about it. But I'm always have an open arm to contribute or to assist in any way possible. So in Selangor, I think it goes the same way to all the states. We hope that the facilities will be available soon. The most important is the facilities. If the facilities is not available, then it's going to be quite difficult. Yeah? Of course, you can still continue to train on your own, either at home or within your residential area, to keep fit and to keep ready when the times come. But then without the availability of the facilities, will hinder the opportunity for most of the players to continue to play tennis. In terms of the development program, that is a long process. It needs numbers of parties to work together, especially the schools, the teachers, because it's where the resources are. And definitely in terms of expertise come from the association. The association are in control of the resources, technical resources in terms of coaches, officials, and so on. So I think this is the best time for everybody to sit down, those stakeholders to sit down and work together and plan, because not so many activities is going on right now. So it's the best time to find ways and plan what can be done in the future. So this pandemic might take some time for us to be back to normal, probably in 1 year time. Hopefully, we may take another 2 years. We never know. But the planning is still there, and now is the best time to really plan for future development. Understanding what has happened in the past, so we can identify what are the weaknesses, what are the strengths that we can use. And in the next few months, everybody start to sit down and put up a proposal, put up ideas, and whatever it is, and have a solid structure for the future.
Well, thank you, Dr. Rahizam, for sharing. How about Mr. Nurizam? Do you have any upcoming program for the future for tennis in Johor?
Okay, thank you for the question. We at Johor Tennis Association, actually, we are planning a lot of things behind the scenes, and we actually have a tennis excellence center for schools in Johor Bahru, which we are trying to make it materialize this year. Unfortunately, the COVID situation has not improved since. So basically, there are nothing much we can do within this lockdown. So we are waiting for the situation to improve. And we also actually have a lot of discussion to establish a proper tennis academy in Johor Bahru. I'm not going to delve more into that because there are some confidential information. But basically, what I'm trying to tell you that there are people behind the scenes who are working very hard to make things happen. But unfortunately, within this COVID situation, we have to bear with the lockdown temporarily until the situation improves. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nurizam. So for the next question is, during the past few months, what other SOP should follow during the tennis training? So do the SOP affect the efficiency of training? It goes to Mr. Nurizam first.
As for tennis training, for example, for the Sukma squad, the Sukan Malaysia team, they have to follow strict SOP as per guideline by KBS and State Sport Council. For example, they have to be registered, they have to be temperature checked, and then they have to follow basic hygiene as per recommended by Ministry of Health. And also for the private coaches they are also observant of the rules. So basically, complying to the request of SOP that government introduced is not such a problem. But I think sorry, I have to add this point because on the previous question I forgot to mention this. As after the lockdown, after the first lockdown, we can see the pattern of parents sending kids for tennis lesson have become have been hugely impacted by the COVID situation because of fear of spreading the COVID, and also because of because parents are more careful about sending their kids outside nowadays, and also there are less kids and less students who are willing to enroll in tennis program because of the loss of income during the lockdown. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nurizam. How about Dr. Rahizam? How do you think the SOP will affect a lot?
Well, I think the SOP is standard. It goes to all the sports. It come from KBS. I think last month I did organize an event, just a simple mini tennis program. I went back to Jitra and have one session over there. Then I came back in Kuala Lumpur. We managed to organize one day event with the SOP being applied. So I think that's not an issue. I think the SOP helps. As long as you follow the SOP, then it should not be any issues. There is a standard SOP. I think that it's not so much of a problem.
So the training is still the same as usual?
Yeah, that's what I said. There is a role of the association not only to organize events, but at the same time to help the authorities to understand the whole situation and what does the sport can offer, what can be done in this situation. If you just sit down and wait for the authority to decide, they don't know about the sport. They don't know about tennis, the nature of tennis. So the governing body needs to find ways to help the tennis fraternity to inform the authorities. This is how what we can do to find ways and resolve the problem.
I see. Thank you, Doctor.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Doctor. So the next question I would like to ask is for Dr. Rahizam first. Do you have any advice for all the tennis players in the Malaysia since the situation is we are in COVID quarantine now? What should we do for the tennis
Yes.
training?
You see, in terms of performance, players' performance, there are four main component of performance. One is physical fitness, and then it's a technical skill, tactical skill, and psychological skill. This is what it takes for a good player to be able to perform in the competition. So with the current situation, maybe you're not able to work on your technical skill, tactical skill, but then you can still work or maintain your physical fitness. Yeah, so players should continue to work on their physical fitness, try to maintain, because you never know, sooner or later, when things get better, you'll be able to straight away, continue to play tennis. If there is competition, you can go with the competition. If there's no competition, you can still continue training on the court. But if you lay off now, you don't know, you never know, maybe a couple of months. But by the time you are able to go and play tennis, then you need to really work from zero. So it will take some time. So players need to be able to continue to maintain their physical abilities. That's very important. And at the same time, with the new technology now, I mean, you can always find a lot of resources through internet, YouTube, to continue to watch the tennis and learn something. In fact, next week, French Open going to start on Monday. A lot of high-class tennis action will be around for us to watch. It can continue and find something that really can help. Keep in touch with your coaches. Find ways to really make sure that you are maintaining your level best, as if you are going to play soon.
Yes, definitely agree with what Doctor said. I will keep this in mind. And can I ask Mr. Nurizam also for the advice to all the tennis players out there?
Okay, as for the question, my answer will be number one is everybody, regardless of you are a player or not, you must follow strictly the SOP and government advisories and try to keep fit all the time and only do allowable activities. For example, maybe nowadays jogging and cycling is allowed, so tennis players can do that kind of activities to keep fit, and also use this available time to gain knowledge, like Dr. Rahizam said, from YouTube, from online courses that are offered. I saw that some of the coaches are taking initiative to take online courses, which is I think valuable for them for the future. And also all the players need to watch their diet, because they might forced to reduce their activity, so the food intake must also be balanced with the kind of work they are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nurizam. Now we open Q&A section, so do feel free to ask any question in the chat box. So at here, I have received a lot of questions. So for the first question for Wong Bo Sun, may I know what is the advice for new player in tennis, as we cannot go to physical training? Dr. Rahizam first.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at a number of questions here. Okay, should I refer to you? What is the question again? Sorry.
Sorry, the question is from our participant. So
Okay.
Wong Bo Sun said, may I know what is the advice for new player in tennis, as we cannot go for physical training?
I think I talked about that just now. and you can still do physical training, not an issue. You can do at home, you can do in front of your house. You can, even I myself every day, I went for a fitness workout. I think Nurizam has been following me. He knows I lost 8 kilos in the past few months.
Wow.
So yeah, so there is not an issue at all. You can continue to work on your physical fitness. Like I said, physical fitness is the fundamental of your performance. You need to make sure to maintain that. Once you lose your physical fitness, then in order to get it back, it will take some time, a lot of hard work. That's why you need to maintain. Right? And you can still work on your technical skill in the way of following the resources from the internet, or do some simple skills like volley against the wall, things like that, hitting with the wall in front of your house just to make sure you don't break anything. A simple thing, right? But if you really want to do it, you just find a way to do it. As simple as that.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Yes, thank you, Dr. Rahizam. So, can I ask also about this? Do you think online learning for beginners tennis works? For Mr. Nurizam, I would like to ask this question to you.
Okay, for beginner, I think it will be quite helpful. For example, if you are new to tennis, if you have a beginner's racket and a red ball, preferably, you can do some activities at home. Basically, if you go to YouTube, if you search for those kind of beginner tennis activities that can be done in this manner, there are a lot of activities that you can actually do. So there are endless number of workout that you can do, which is, even though this kind of thing looks simple, it is actually beneficial in the building up a skill of a tennis player, especially in the beginning stage. Thank you.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Nurizam.
Can I touch on something, because I just read the chat box? I am afraid that I might forget.
Yes, of course.
Is it okay? Yeah.
Yes, of
And
course.
there's a question
Continue.
here asking about the what type of racket is more suitable for newbies. Well, tennis. I just completed my course yesterday, 4 days course on play tennis. So basically, the slogan for tennis is fun, easy, and healthy. So it is easy. So you can always, especially for beginners, there is a modern method of coaching which allows you to play tennis even from the first day. There's a lot of equipment that can accommodate your level of abilities. Racket has been designed to allow new players, the beginners, to be able to have fun with tennis from the first day. There's a ball available at different type of ball, which are suitable for young kids, even to the adults. At any level of age, not a problem. Yeah. So racket, you have a smaller racket, you have a very light racket. It depends which one you feel comfortable. Yeah, you have that option. Yeah, normal racket is about 29 inch, 37 inch. You have for young kids, which is about 21, 19 inch. Every type of racket you can find easily. You can go to Giant, Maidin, I think, and many type of rackets available. It's quite cheap, 50 ringgit. You can find one, 60 ringgit. So not a problem at all.
Thank you, Dr. Rahizam. So for the second question is from Vincent Ting. Does COVID-19 affect the candidate who already well prepared for the tournament before COVID-19 happened? Do they still keep on training for the tournament or training as normal only? This question is for Dr. Nurizam.
Okay, thanks for the question. Definitely the COVID-19 situation hamper tennis athlete preparation, because tennis is a very sensitive sport I mean, in manner exposure to any disruption to the training program. Tennis is a sport which is very complex and comprehensive. So any disruption to preparation, for example, for a tournament, definitely will disrupt preparation, physical or mental for an athlete. That's my answer.
Yeah, Dr. Nurizam also can. Yeah, we were preparing for Sukma. It's supposed to be last year, right? In Johor, everybody was excited. I was excited to go to Johor again. You know, with the new courts available at Nusa Duta, indoor courts, 5 courts indoor, right? So you cannot find anywhere else in Malaysia a place that have 5 indoor courts, only in Johor. You know, so players from all over the country were ready. They've been preparing for a few months to go to Johor, but then has to be cancelled due to the current situation. So it is planned for next year. So we just hopefully things will get better and the players will get ready. So again, like I said, you know, next year, based on the schedule, Sukma is supposed to be next year, end of next year probably. You know, so the players has to be positive, continue to train the best possible, get ready, especially on physical fitness because they're available to do that even in the current situation. They can do that at home. There's some spaces that they can use to work on their physical fitness. So they just make sure that they get ready. By the time they can go to the court, physically they are ready to continue to play. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Rahizam. Thank you for sharing. And also, we received a question from our Dr. Zohaili. He'd like to ask Mr. Nurizam about his motivation to continue contributing in a tennis association, especially in this pandemic.
Okay, basically my motivation to work voluntarily in tennis activities or tennis association mainly is because the will to see improvement of tennis ecosystem in the state of Johor and eventually Malaysia. Rather than complaining and not doing anything, I think it's best for everybody to take some responsibility and take some work which you or me can do personally, but if we can work as a team, that the effort might be more fruitful than working alone. So I think because we want to see a brighter future for tennis talents in the state of Johor and Malaysia, and also to the betterment of state of tennis in Johor and Malaysia. So I think that's a driving factor why I'm involved with voluntary tennis activities. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Can I say something on that?
Yes, of course.
Because I think I need to say something. I think Johor is very fortunate to have Encik Nurizam there to lead the association. He's been there for a couple of years. I know he has been working very hard to make sure that Johor will come back as before. Johor was the force of tennis a few years back. During my junior time, you have a couple of good players, you know. But now I can see that it's coming back because Nurizam is working hard to organize a lot of tournaments. The tournaments will help to promote tennis, and you get more players to come in by organizing a lot of tournaments. As simple as that, you know. So you need something to show that what tennis can really offer you. So through the competition, you can see a lot of benefits that you can get. You know, a lot of kids start coming up. We did organize a lot of tournaments in the past few years, and I think Nurizam agree with me that because of that, we can see a lot of players coming up from that competition that we organized. You know? And if you understand what tennis can offer you, even off the court, even in terms of the academic achievement, I'm sure that a lot of people will jump in and join us to, play tennis at any level. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rahizam. So another question is special for Mr. Nurizam. So he said, from the sharing just now, Mr. Nurizam was able to get scholarship. May I know, is there any other benefits that I can gain from it?
This question is to Dr. Rahizam, is it?
Yes, it's for Dr. Rahizam, I think.
Okay, this is Dr. Rahizam.
Okay. Okay. Probably I can just share with you, my experience. It's not only about the scholarship. It's personal development also. It helps you to be able to make decisions, to be able to be independent, to be able to socialize with others of the court, and to push you to work hard in anything that you do, to make sure that you have a target in your life or whatever that you do. I say, we teach you a lot of things. So along the way, you gain a lot of experience. But in terms of academic wise, there are a lot of opportunities out there. Even in Malaysia, in most of the universities or colleges, there are scholarship being offered to a lot of tennis players, and a lot of them have been offered to continue to play tennis with a scholarship, whether it's 50% or with a full scholarship in the States. And quite a number of them being offered to a job due to tennis, due to the involvement in sports. You manage to explore into a lot of new things. You build your network to the sports. So yeah, there are a lot of things. You just continue to enjoy the sports, have fun, and good things will come to you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Rahizam, for sharing. So let me proceed with the next question from the chat box. It asks, what do you think about the popularity of tennis in Malaysia? And do you think under this pandemic, can we still capable to produce international level player? So I would like to ask Mr. Nurizam first about his opinion on this.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think popularity of a sport depends so much of a star that we can produce. I mean, for the interest of Malaysian, if we can produce like the good old days, like players like Adam Malik, or you might say a Nickel David of tennis, then I think the popularity of the sport in Malaysia will improve tremendously. But for now, because we don't really produce a superstar here, and so somehow now our nation is under lockdown, so I think it's very challenging to get to the point where tennis will be more popular than before. So I don't think the situation or the popularity will improve soon. Thank you.
I see. Sure. How about Dr. Rahizam's opinion on this?
Yeah, producing good players takes a process. It's a long-term process. It's not like you train every day and then suddenly you become better. It involves a lot of factors. We have with the current situation in Malaysia, there are few good players who decided to go somewhere. For example, I think there are about 2-3 of our national juniors, as well as the national players, who decided to go to US because over there they can still continue to play tennis. So by that is a sacrifice they have to go through. You want to get something, involve a lot of process, a lot of hard work. but there is a way, but not everybody can do it. Yeah, but still, it takes a long process in order for you to be a really good players to reach that level. Adam Malik was a good example at that time. At 14 years old, he moved to Australia to continue his study and to be exposed to competitive over there. Then he moved to the States, playing tennis full time. You know, he is 1 year younger than me. We were together during the junior days, so I can understand the sacrifice that the father has done. Datuk Malik at that time. He is from Johor, Adam Malik. Datuk Malik was from Johor at that time. So yeah, it is possible. Besides Adam Malik, you have Selvum at that time, who one of the most talented player that we produced. Even now, we do have a few players, young juniors, at the age of 15, 16, 17, who are still playing tennis, who has been quite successful at the international level, has won a few tournaments at Asia level. We do have that possibilities, we do have that potential. It's just that, again, we need a lot of work, we need of cooperation between different stakeholders, school, parents, players, national bodies, to understand what it takes to produce that type of players. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rahizam. So for the time being, I will jump to our last question. So let's say, doctor, do you feel hard to play tennis or becoming a tennis player? Is it hard to play tennis?
Tennis is easy. Don't worry. You can play based on your level. Then slowly you can progress. You can start at the simple activities. Then you move on to the next level. You keep on progressing from one stage to another stage. Not a problem at all. I can share you. Definitely not now. Maybe later on, whoever interested. We can work on modern method of teaching tennis. You can play a game on the first day itself. Not an issue. There's a lot of good program like the UiTF, International Tennis Federation, in promoting tennis with the slogan of serve, rally, and score. You're able to serve, you're able to really play tennis and keep the score and have fun. Yeah, it's for everybody. As young as probably 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, and up to what? As long as you can walk, you can move, you can still play tennis based on your ability. Yeah, tennis is easy.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rahizam. So how about Mr. Nurizam? Do you think tennis is easy as well?
Yeah, I don't want to talk so much about the difficulty of tennis, but tennis is actually one of the most entertaining and most interesting sport that you can get involved with. Within the levels that you are in. I mean, if you are truly a beginner, you can start with red ball stage, which use a smaller court size. And if you got a partner who are also keen to start to learn tennis, then it will be a plus point. So start from there and just progress along the way. Eventually, you will reach to the point where you can actually play with the regulars. So to me, take it slowly, take it easy, and happily nowadays there are a lot of tennis videos that you can watch, which can give you ideas how to start learning and how to improve yourself from time to time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nurizam. So we are last calling for the Q&A section. Any more questions to ask?
think I saw Ali Reza asking about, can tennis be teach online during this pandemic? Yeah,
Yeah, this is
yeah,
from
of course,
Coach Ali. Sorry.
course
I
Ali
forgot
Reza.
the name.
Yeah, yeah, of course you can just open your YouTube. If anyone you wish to learn about tennis.
Okay, thank you, doctor. So if no more question, we will end this section now. Okay, so I would like to now I would like to invite Dr. Zuhali and Mr. Ali to present a token appreciation plaquette to Dr. Rahizam and Mr. Nurizam. So Dr. Zuhali, Mr. Ali, Dr. Rahizam and Mr. Nurizam also, please look at the camera and smile. We will take a photo as memory. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Zuhali and Mr. Ali. Now we are going to have a group photo section. Please stay in the meeting room to join Kahoot section after group photo section. The attendance link will send during closing ceremony. Now I'd like to pass the mic to multimedia. Thank you, multimedia. As a saying goes, to every beginning there is an ending. And now this section has come to its end. Once again, I would like to express our warm appreciation to Mr. Nurizam and Dr. Rahizam to participate and gracing our event with your presence. We truly appreciate it. On behalf of organizing committees, I would like to apologize if we have made any mistake throughout this webinar. Dear speaker, you can leave the meeting if you have something urgent, or you can accompany us until the end of this webinar. Thank you. So without further ado, we now move on to Kahoot section. Please prepare your second device. The room number will be present soon. Make sure you insert your real name in Kahoot, as prizes will be given to top 3 winners.
Okay, I think I make a move. Thank you everyone for the invitation. Hope to see you all again and all the best.
Thank you to everybody.
Dr.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you, Dr.
Khalid.
Zuhaili. Thank you so much.
Okay, see you. Tak
See you.
sempat pun lah. Okay. Assalamualaikum. Can you share the Kahoot?
Sorry for the technical issue. A kindly reminder, please put your real name in the Kahoot. We will give the prize according to the real name only.
Yes, guys, kindly give us some minutes.